glowed when the first sip of coffee hits my soul. That's impressive. How many times can I say colour in one sentence? Oh, it's so crispy. Anti-pillock. Christ. Hello. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Emily Knits channel. My name is Emily, this is Pepper if you haven't met him before, and I am a knitter and crocheter, a very distracted one currently in my mid-30s, based in the north of Nottinghamshire in the UK, where I live with my husband and our two dogs. This is one of them, clearly, close to Sherwood Forest. That's really quite painful, mate. Oh, my poor knee. Okay. What was I saying? Today I have a traditional format podcast for you. I have some updates on a lot of whips that I saw. Stop trying to lick my face. I have some updates on the whips that I showed you a couple of weeks ago. I'm clearly wearing one of my finished objects. I have a finished object to talk about. And I have a couple of other cast-ons as well. So we'll get into it. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a project to work on, and please don't forget to let me know in the description box below what you've been working on while you're watching, because I love reading those. I get so much inspiration from them. Before we get into it properly, where can you find me? I'm really sorry if that's picking up. I can't remember if I've ever mentioned on here before, but that house next to us is run as an Airbnb. And there's a quite noisy family in at the moment with a very noisy dog, so I'm really hoping it's not picking up too much, but if they get particularly loud, I'm just going to have to take a break and come back. That's also why he's here, because he's using me as a post to view out of the window. He can't actually see them from here, but he can see a little bit better than he would be able to otherwise, because obviously he's taller when he's leaning on me. Yeah, where can you find me before we get into it properly? You can find me here. You can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Ravelry, you can find me on Ko-fi, and you can find me on email. All of those are down below in the description box, and I do have a Ravelry wish list as well if you wanted to support the podcast by buying me a pattern. Thank you so much to those of you who've already done that. It's really well appreciated, and I'm hoping in the next few months I'm going to start to actually get around to knitting some of those things, or crocheting, because one of you's bought me a crochet pattern, those things that you've actually bought me. So thank you so much for those. But yeah, all that waffle aside, let's get into it. I'm surrounded by piles of whips, but the first thing I want to talk to you about is what I'm wearing, which is so good. I'm so pleased with this. So this is my first finished, and it will be the first of many, but we'll touch on that in a minute. Amelia top by Iris of Iris Makes. This is an absolutely fabulous stockinette t-shirt pattern that's knit. I think it's a contiguous shoulder construction, maybe set-in sleeve. Iris's patterns, I was watching Addie of the Knits by AJ podcast the other day, who is another one that I would recommend. I didn't put her on my list of top favourite podcasters because I'll be honest, I completely forgot about her, which is really bad. She's somebody I dip into and dip out of, but more recently I've been watching more regularly. She knits a lot of Iris's patterns. She said the other day on the video that I was watching, I think this is completely right, that Iris's patterns are always exceptionally well fitting. I think when Iris is designing, she really prioritises fit. I know a couple of people have sometimes said the sleeves are a little bit tight, but actually I don't tend to find that. But I find that, yeah, Iris really considers fit when she is designing, and this is no exception. So let me see if I can stand on my knees, get on the bed basically, and show you. Oops. See that quite well there. So this is what we are looking like, and this is so good. I'm so happy with this. It's such a good fit. So this is, like I say, I believe it's a contiguous shoulder construction. So you cast on essentially for the back, you cast on a trapezoid, and then you pick up along these little shoulder sections here, and you knit a little bit down here and a little bit down there. And then this is really hard to describe. So basically what you then do is you have your stitches here, you pick up stitches along here, and then you join them back to your back trapezoid, and you sort of increase in like a little wedge bit that comes around your back neck until you get to the point where you join for your front, and then you basically work in raglan shaping all the way around. But it creates this really, really nice fit. You can see there where that's your sort of, I guess it's the raglan line, but rather than coming from out in the collar like a raglan would, it comes from your sort of your shoulder. It's like a set-in sleeve, isn't it? And the fit on this is so good because of that. It's so good. The shoulders and the sleeves on this fit better than anything I've ever made for myself before, I think, except for maybe the Ekin sweater, which is a pattern by Sophie of the Knit Pearl Girl. It's just there, which is why I'm looking at it, and this uses the same construction. So this is like going to be a bit of a go-to for me, I think, moving forwards if I want something really well fitting. It also creates a really nice detail there. You can see that. I will pop in some B-roll of the back so that you can see what it looks like from behind, because I can't actually get this in a very good position to show you when I'm on here, but if I sort of pop myself up a bit better, you can see just how nicely it fits me. It's so nicely fitting. It's got a little bit of positive ease on me, but not massive amounts, probably only about maybe an inch, 2 inches, which I think is about what it's designed to have, neutral to a couple of inches of positive ease. And then it's got these lovely details on the collar, the sleeve, sorry, and the hem at the bottom, where it's got like a little bit of, like a little pearl ridge before you go into 1x1 rib. It's got tubular bind offs and everything. And then it's got a folded collar for the neck. So yeah, it's just such a nice fitting. This is just so flattering on me. The length is great. I have lengthened it a little bit from what it suggests in the pattern, but I tend to do that with all patterns anyway. So I knit my body to 17 inches total, and that hits me right on my hips basically, and it's a really nice point. So my waist is here. This fits just under so that's the top of my jeans, and it's hitting basically just at the bottom of where my button of my jeans is. I have a very, very long torso. Let me sit down and I can talk to you properly about this. Okay, so yeah, this is, I love this. Generally, I love this. The fit of this is so good. There is one thing I'm not super happy with, and it's more me than anything else. So I'm not massively happy with the neckline. Now, I love the neckline. I love how this is sitting on me. And there is a lot to be said for the fact that I haven't had to adjust this at all. I haven't had to do this. I haven't had to do that with it. You know, I'm not sitting there adjusting it. I do think it might benefit from bust darts on me, because I sometimes find myself pulling the front down a little bit, and that's just because it's ever so slightly riding up when I'm wearing it, and that's because I have a 44 inch bust, but you can't really tell in this. My bust is quite big, my boobs are quite big. I've got like a 34G or something like that boobs. So generally, if a pattern does have bust darts, I do benefit from putting bust darts in. So what I might do on a future version of this is put some bust darts in to make it sit a little bit better. But the thing with the neckline is more my problem than anything else. So first off, I don't know if you can tell there, it sits away a little bit from my neck, which initially I was a bit, I don't really like that, but actually I don't mind it at all because it doesn't look bad. It just feels a bit odd sometimes, and sometimes I found like my handbag caught it the other day and it pulled it properly away. And I wasn't super keen on that. The main thing I'm a bit annoyed at, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on camera, I can see it, but it's because I'm aware of it, and I don't know if anybody else would notice. I have got, can I show you? Yeah, you can sort of see a bit, so it's a really weird angle to pull it. So you knit this is a folded collar. You pick up, you do a couple of purl rows because it's got that same pearl detail around here than it's got on your sleeves. Then you knit up a certain number of rows, you do a purl row to create the fold, and then you knit another however many rows, and then you sew it down, bind off and sew it down. And when I've been sewing it down, because I was rushing a bit to try and finish it, which we'll talk about in a minute, I haven't got nice straight rows of stockinette around here when I've been sewing it down. I've got them off a little bit, they sort of go that way a bit. I've then pulled it back round on the side because I noticed it, and I should have just gone back and redone it, but like I said, I was rushing because I really wanted to wear this. So I finished this on Thursday. I'm filming this on Sunday, and the reason I wanted to finish it by Thursday was because on Friday we were going out to York for the night. We were going to a gig. We went to see Bombay Bicycle Club, who were incredible. They are my favourite band. This is the second time we've been to see them. It's such a good gig, and this was no exception. But the temperature was supposed to be like 20 degrees and a bit overcast, and I thought, you know what, perfect. This is 100% cotton, this yarn. This will be absolutely perfect for a gig. So I was really pushing to try and finish it by Thursday so I could block it on Friday and then take it with us on Friday afternoon after work. We went to go through to York, and I did manage to finish it in time. But because I was rushing with things like that, that's how I've done that. I notice it and it bothers me a little bit, but having worn it now I wore it a little bit on Friday. I didn't actually wear it to the gig in the end because by the time we got to York, it was way more humid than I was expecting, and this was just a bit much. But I wore it on Saturday. And on Saturday, we went out to get breakfast in the morning. We then went to a yarn shop, which I will talk a little bit more about in a minute because I've got some stuff from there. But 3 people in the yarn shop complimented me on this. I know it's a yarn shop, so I know that, you're going to get a little bit higher incidence of people complimenting you on stuff in a yarn shop because it's a yarn shop. They are knitters, they are crafters. But 3 separate people asked if I'd made my top. And that was such a nice feeling. My mum also commented on it. Again, a bit biased. My mum knows that I'm very proud of the things that I make, so she comments on stuff like that. She used to be a knitter, so she knows the kind of work that goes into stuff. But as well, they complimented me on it. Nobody mentioned this for starters. That's why I was talking about this. So I'm the only person that's aware of that. And they complimented me on it. And it's so comfy to wear that they said, "Did you make your top?" And I had to think, did I? What am I wearing? Like, it's such a good sign of a good fitting knitted piece because I had to think, did I actually wear this? Clearly I wore it. Did I actually make this, or am I just wearing a store-bought t-shirt? Because that's what it feels like. It's so good. I wore it all of yesterday. I put it on again first thing this morning. So happy with it. So happy with it. I made this out of, I said it's 100% cotton. I made this out of James C. Brett Cotton Waves, which is a relatively new yarn from them. This is the shade WV03. It's 100% cotton self-striping DK weight yarn, and it is made on DK. The pattern is suggested for DK weight. I think the pattern suggests 5mm and 4.5mm needles. I was on 4.5 for the body to get gauge and 4 for the trimmings. I would maybe the rib is fine at 4mm needles. I would maybe go down another half size for the folded collar because I feel like that's maybe partly why it's a little bit floppy. So next time I make one, because I am going to make more, I might do that on a 3.5 or another 0.5mm down, depending on what size needle I'm on for gauge and whatever fabric. This yarn I genuinely like. There is one thing about it that I'm not 100% convinced on. Now I've actually knit with it, blocked it, worn it a bit. The first thing, actually there's 2 things. The first thing is that it only comes in self-striping colourways. So whilst I love this isn't going to be for everybody, and you might want a solid coloured t-shirt. My next one I make is going to be a solid colour. So I realise this isn't going to be for everybody, this self-striping, but I do think the stripes have worked out really nicely. There's nothing that's, it's not really... Sometimes self-striping things can look a little bit weird made into a garment because they're not intended to be self-striping on a garment. They may be intended to be self-striping on socks, so you get really small stripes or something. But I think this has worked out really, really nicely. And because it's not really uniform stripes all the way through, it doesn't look weird when you then have a section like these bits you were doing really... Like these bits you're doing really small amounts, and then this is obviously much wider. So it doesn't look weird because of that, because you've got irregular thickness of stripes regardless. Does that make any sense? I feel like it doesn't. I don't think I've explained that very well. I'm sure you get what I mean. The other thing that really surprised me, because this is 100% cotton yarn, and I should have sort of been aware. So this, I commented when I've been making this, that it's really soft. It doesn't feel like a proper 100%. Sorry about that. Dog's just kicking my projects off the bed. Thanks for that, mate. It doesn't really feel like 100% cotton yarn when you're... Did you pick that up? Did the mic pick that up? The dog has just done the biggest, most annoyed sigh because I'm disturbing him. Honestly, I have the most spoiled dogs in the world. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it doesn't feel like 100% cotton when you're knitting with it. It doesn't feel like that dry, stiff feeling that you usually get. It's very soft. It feels quite drapey. It's really nice to knit with. Really nice to knit with. On my metal needles, which is my preferred needle type to work on, it just glided over the needles, and it just so fun to knit with. But I should have thought about this. It's pilling, and I did not expect that. Is it showing here? Yeah. This looks so weird, and you're not going to be able to see it after all that anyway. It is really badly pilling in certain areas. I am hoping that once it's pilled and it's got it over and done with, the bits where it's pilled badly quite quickly, you can sort of feel underneath it does feel a bit more like a normal 100% cotton that you would expect. And I'm really hoping that with a bit of wear as it pills and it settles, that it will just feel a bit more like a normal cotton and be a little bit more durable. But yeah, I'm really hoping it goes that way, because this is a lovely fabric that it's created. The drape, the feel, the fit of it is absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, just in those two little bits there, I managed to pull off quite a lot of pilling, which is not what I expected from 100% cotton yarn at all. And I noticed early, I'm not going to be able to show you because I haven't got anything else here to put on, I drove there and back to York wearing this, and I noticed where that's probably about there on my back where it sits against the car seat. There's quite a big band of quite strong pilling, so it's really had that friction there. So yeah, that's the only thing about this that I wasn't expecting at all, and I will keep reporting back on how this wears, because this is going to get a lot of wear. I have picked this as the pattern that I'm using, or actually you guys picked this because you voted on Instagram on, basically this is the pattern that I'm using for a series that this is the first one of, where I'm going to make the same pattern again and again and again in different yarns and different fibres, so that we can do a bit of a deep dive into substitution into different fibres and what you're going to get from those. And I'm so happy that this is the pattern that I've chosen to do this with, because it fits so well. This is such a good wardrobe staple. I can imagine it in so many different colours, being so good in so many different colours. And I just think, yeah, it's going to be immensely wearable and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, can't wait to cast the next one of these on. The next one I mentioned in my plans video last week is going to be in 100% acrylic, and I've got this really nice lime green acrylic from Wendy to make it in, and that's going to be my next one. So yeah, can't wait for that as well. Last thing I needed to mention about this, I always forget. Do I always forget? I don't think I do, because a few of you have actually used it. I have an affiliate code for Iris's Patterns. So I became an affiliate of Iris's Patterns after I'd started making this and after I'd chosen this as the pattern. I applied to be an affiliate of Iris's program because I absolutely love her patterns and the fit and how they turn out. This is not the first of hers I've knit. I've test knit 3 different patterns for her before, and I've got 2 others of hers in my library to make. I really love her patterns. So all that to say, I have a link in the description box along with a discount code. If you follow that link and use my discount code, it gets you 10% off any of Iris's patterns, as many of Iris's patterns as you would like. If you want to buy every single one of the patterns in her library, you'll get 10% off all of them. I get a little bit of kickback back from that, which I really appreciate, but I can honestly, hand on heart, say if you don't want to use my affiliate link, if you don't want to go through that, I would still so highly recommend Iris's patterns. They are fantastic. So if you do it through my link or not, I don't care, but go try them. Honestly, they're fabulous. So that's the only finished object I've got this week. Yeah, it is. I was hoping to have some other stuff finished, but I ended up spending a lot of time working on this. Have I just pulled that off the needles? Nope, thank you. Ended up spending a lot of time working on this, and then I flitted with quite a lot of stuff. We'll start talking about stuff you've seen before, and then we'll move into the stuff you haven't. So, there was a meme years ago, wasn't there, when the first sip of coffee hits my soul. That's what was just captured on camera then. It's the first sip of coffee of the day. Okay, so the next thing to show you that I was also hoping to have finished this week and I haven't is my emotional support chicken for my husband. It is much more progressed now. These things look so weird until you get them done. This now looks like some sort of weird neck cowl thing. So I made one of these. This is a pattern by... Nope, can't remember. No idea who it's by. I'm going to have to put it on screen. Most of you will have heard of the emotional support chicken. It is really, really well known now. I made one of these out of some Stylecraft yarn I had in stash from my mum when she went in for an operation recently. She's doing really, really well, actually. I think I said on the last video, she came out of hospital basically the day after, but she's doing absolutely fantastic. She's had her staples out. She's moving around a lot better. She's still in a bit of pain, but she's had spinal surgery 3 weeks ago, so she's doing really, really well, and she loves the chicken still. And my husband saw me making it and said he would like one in chicken colours, so the other one was in all like turquoises and blues and stuff like that. And I decided to use this yarn to make him one, and this is how we are turning out. You're gonna have to excuse the clonking needles because they're definitely going to. This is what I'm using, which is King Cole Bramble DK. This is 100% acrylic yarn. This is in the shade Chestnut, and it's self-striping again. And I I didn't realise, I'm shading my own face doing that, aren't I? I didn't realise when I bought this that this was self-striping, and this was a bit of a moment of like, duh, how did you not? Because look at that yarn cake. This is self-striping. This is 100% self-striping. I didn't realise. And then when I started knitting it, I was a bit thrown off, because you start, so essentially with these, you start with the I said this last time, fins. Fins is not the word, is it? The tail feathers. And you do one piece and then you do the next piece and you join them, and then you start knitting. You join them here in the middle, and then you start knitting across the length, and you do loads and loads of short rows to shape it. And I was a bit thrown off by the striping, and I wasn't super happy with it. However, my husband, there's a couple of things like this actually that are being made for my husband, and he's been the one that's taught me out of just binning them completely. And he said he actually really likes the striping. He likes that it will look completely different to anybody else's. He likes that it won't look anything like anybody else's at all. And he likes that it's coming out sort of almost like this patchwork way. I will admit that I much prefer this side. I don't know why, for whatever reason, this side to me looks much better. One, I think particularly with the white there, just throws me off. But it is turning out really nicely, and it is very, very chicken colours, isn't it, really? This yarn's been really nice to knit with. It's not my favourite 100% acrylic, but it is a nice one, definitely. And I've heard a lot of people rave about this for crocheting with. This does not use up a full 100-gram ball of yarn. I am very definitely going to have some of this left, so I might mess about with some crochet afterwards, just make some squares out of it maybe to see how it works up crocheted, because I've heard a lot of people say very positive things about it crocheting wise. This pattern is originally written for, I think, worsted weight or Aran weight yarn and 4.5mm needles. It's really adjustable. You'll just get a different size of chicken. So I'm making this one with DK weight yarn and 3.75mm needles, just following the exact same instructions. And it comes out, I mean, you can sort of see that's the body of the chicken there. It's going to have a head, obviously, on the top, and then it'll be a bit wider because you create like a flat panel that goes in the middle that you then, it creates the width and the base of the chicken. But yeah, you can see the sort of size that's going to be. If I pop it against me for context, that's roughly the size. So if you made it a bit, you know, with Aran weight or worsted weight, it's going to come out a bit bigger. You make it with fingering weight, it's going to come out a bit smaller. You could make one in chunky and it'll make an absolutely massive chicken. But yeah, just really, really fun. I've said it every time I've spoken about this as well. Do not be worried about the short rows. So this is all shaped using short rows. And it says wrap and turns. I love working short rows, but I love German short rows. I don't like wrap and turns. Trust it. Trust it. Follow the instructions in the pattern, or find a tutorial, because people have done few tutorials. You don't have to do anything other than just knit, basically, when you go back. You don't have to pick up any wraps like you do in stockinette, because it's garter, which actually I don't think I've brought it close enough to show that it's garter. You basically just knit. They're so easy, and it's really satisfying. I can completely see why people make multiple of these. I have no use for another emotional support chicken after making this one, but I kind of want to make more because they are really satisfying to knit. So yeah, this one's progressing nicely. I said last time I wanted to have this finished for this episode, and clearly, you know, we have a headless chicken, so clearly that's not the case. But I would like to have this finished for next time. Putting it out there. Okay. 2 more that you've seen. 3 that you haven't. Only 2 of those are new cast-ons. Let's talk about knitting first. Let's get this massive bag here up. So this is, that shouldn't even be here. This is the Pheasant Hunt cardigan by Mary Maxim that I'm making for my husband. I have actually done what I said I wanted to do on this week. So I said last week I wanted to, I'm just snugging this up a bit so it looks a bit neater, because it tends to look quite messy if I don't. I said last week that I wanted to finish the first sleeve on this. This is a vintage pattern, vintage intarsia cardigan pattern that's knit in pieces and then seamed at the end. I have never really done intarsia before, and I'm going to put that caveat out there before, because I don't want any judgment on the quality of my intarsia here. It is not great. It is not great. I will say that up front. My husband is happy with it. I am learning to be happier with it. And I think, given some time with blocking and with weaving my ends in, I'm going to be able to snug things up a little bit, so it will look better. But we have finished. Okay, on camera it doesn't look awful. These don't look great. Do I bring it up closer? I don't really want to, because honestly it's really not great. Okay, so it's not that bad. You can see here, because this isn't bottom up. Obviously it's not obvious at all. I've started here, I've worked all the way up. And this is where I've started doing the intarsia. You can see my progress on this because this isn't very neat and it gets much neater as we go up. I had to basically, again, make myself okay with this, and I had to watch many different tutorials, many different videos, and get it a bit, learn the technique a bit better so I could get this a bit better. But he's happy with it. Again, I think some of this is going to be solved in blocking because this is all 100% wool yarn. And as you can see, as I've worked upwards, it has got neater. So this is the first sleeve done. I need to do another sleeve pretty much exactly the same, except you reverse the direction of the pheasant, so the pheasant will face that way instead of this way. And then I need to do the back panel and 2 fronts. Yeah, but the fronts do have a bit of intarsia on them. The back panel, let's see if I can find, I've actually got the printed pattern here now. The back panel has a very big and intricate pheasant on it. The front panels have some smaller bits, but these are essentially like shadows. So there's a hunter and a dog, but they're all in one colour. So it's going to be fairly simple. The pheasant on the back, where is it? Oh my God, sorry. Yeah, you can see it a bit better there, hopefully. It's got loads of different colours in it. So the pheasant on the back is going to be quite intricate. So I'm going to do all the other bits before I come to that, because as I go along, I will be able to, as evidenced there, let me put this away and stop whistling it. As evidenced here, my ability has improved as I've gone up. So I'm going to do all the other bits first, improve my technique, and then when it comes to doing the pheasant at the back, which is going to have so many different bits on it and so many ends and things to be aware of, I might actually just be able to do that in a bit of a neater way. So yeah, turned out quite nicely. There are some holes in it, like I say, and that's just where I've added in new pieces of yarn and things. But when I sort of pull on the bits at the back, which is what I'm going to be able to use, the ends are a mess, so I'm going to be able to use the ends to tighten up things and neaten things up. And it's come out actually really nicely. He's very happy with it. The length is good. So if I've mentioned before, I was having to, you can see the length is long. I was having to add length in. So the length of the sleeve that it gives in the pattern is like 16.5 inches total for the size that I'm making for him, which is, it has sizes 38, 40, 42 and 44. So it's a vintage pattern, it's not the most size inclusive. I'm making the 40 for him, which should give him a couple of inches positive ease. And in the 40-inch size, it says that the sleeve length is 16.5 inches. Now that is short even for me, never mind for him at 6'4" tall. So I've added length basically in this bit, so that once I got to the intarsia, obviously it was harder to add. Obviously, once you get to the intarsia, it's not really possible to add length into this bit without distorting the image. So I've added loads of length into the bottom. I essentially made the rib about 1 inch longer, and then I've just added a couple of rows between every set of increases as you're going up the sleeve, which you can't see very well, but it is sort of increasing as you go up, and then you decrease down for your shoulder cap at the top. And the fit on this looks really, really good on him so far. So yeah, this is where we're at, where we're starting at, and I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased I've got this done. And I've overcome the hurdle of it a little bit, so now I can work on the next one. I don't know whether to start on the collar, the other sleeve next, or whether to do one of the fronts and give myself something a little bit different to work on. But I'm going to, one of the other of those two things I'm going to pick up and cast on this afternoon, so that I don't let it stall and I keep the momentum going, because I finished most of this yesterday, and I'm pleased with how it turned out. I'm knitting this in Drops Alaska, entirely in Drops Alaska, in 7 different colours. I have now added this to my Ravelry, which I've linked below, because all of the different colours are on there, rather than me trying to remember what they're called, because I can't remember what they're called. And this is only 4 of the colours, 4 of the colours that I've used on here. I can't remember what they're all called. So I have made a Ravelry project and I've put all the colours in there. So if you want to go and have a look at that, you can go and have a look at that. But I really rate this yarn. Drops Alaska is a 100% wool Aran weight yarn, and it's a really, really good yarn for colour work, things like that. It's really solid. So yeah, that's the progress on the Pheasant Hunt by Mary Maxim. This I'm knitting on, I think it's intended to be made in bulky weight yarn, but the gauge in the pattern I get with Aran weight yarn, and I've done the ribbing on a 4.5mm needle, And the rest of it is on a 6mm needle, and it's coming out a really nice gauge. It's a bit of a looser gauge than I've used drops of scrap before, but you can see there it's completely not see-through. It's creating a really nice fabric, and I think with blocking, this tends to bloom really nicely with blocking, so I'm confident this is going to turn out really nicely, and he's very happy with it. So that's that one in this huge bag. It's progressing nicely. And the other one you've seen already is my crochet granny stripe blanket, which I have just been obsessed with still. I have been plugging away at this. Oh, that's impressive. My hook has caught 2 balls of yarn. Let me sort that out. I've been plugging away at this. Essentially, this is my mindless crochet project on an evening, or when I just want something that isn't hurting hands and things. I was going to touch on that actually. I got some really good recommendations from a lot of you last week when I was talking about my shoulder pain and things like that. And one of my friends recommended a Valerie pillow. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. I'm not sponsored by them. I am never going to be sponsored by them because they're no longer stocking in the UK. But I managed to get one of their pillows the other week, really reduced, because they're not going to be stocking in the UK because of the tariffs, and that has actually made quite a big difference. So the Valerie pillows are basically big, they're lap pillows, but they clip around your back, and they're intended for crafting and gaming and stuff like that. I wouldn't have bought them full price because they are very expensive full price, but at the moment, because of all that, they've got like 40% off in the UK, and it has helped in terms of basically forcing me to, when I'm working on it, on knitting and stuff. I think one of you actually commented on this on the video last time. I tend to sort of hunch forward like that, and that's, funnily enough, that's no wonder my shoulders hurt. The Valerie pillow, because it sits on your lap, it forces me to sit back up like that, and it has made quite a difference with my pain. Sorry, my bag of drops of Alaska was just falling over. But I'm still, because I crochet and knit a lot, I do still get some pain. So that's when this is coming, when I am basically wanting something that is a bit more gentle on my hands to work on. So this is where we're at now. It's about double from where I was when I spoke to you last time. I think last time when I showed you, I was in this bit here. You can see there, God, it's hard to manhandle. You can see there, that's where I was on Monday morning 2 weeks ago, that stitch marker. So yeah, it's growing and growing, and I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this. This is massive. I was crocheting on it in bed the other morning, and I laid it out, and it actually goes across our king size bed. So yeah, it's a really decent size blanket. I'm using the I started off using the tutorial from Attic 24, which is a free tutorial online. And I essentially just used that to work out the number of stitches that I needed to chain and how to do my first couple of rows. And then after that, it's just granny stripe, and it's so easy. I am basically just using 4-ply hand-dyed, mostly hand-dyed yarn. It's not all hand-dyed yarn. There is some commercial stuff in there, but it's turning out really nicely. And I said last time, basically, the only rules I've got are no more than 2 stripes per colour. And I've got this big bag of minis and scraps and stuff. And when it comes to picking out another colour, I basically just pick, and then that's what I use for my next 2. And the only rules are so obviously it's maximum 2 rows of a colour. So if I've just used a colour and I go to pick out another colour and I pick the same colour, I'm not going to use that. How many times can I say colour in one sentence? And the other rule is, that I use what I pick otherwise. So I'm not curating colours at all. You can see I've had some repeats, so this pink's come back up, and that was down here. There's some turquoise blue that's been in there a few times. There is a dark, this one here, this dark green has been in a couple of times. It was down the bottom. And some of them don't do a full row, so like that pink here didn't do a full 2 rows, and that's fine. I'm just using them up as I go along. And I've got some 10 gram minis upstairs, so every time every so often I'm adding other 10 gram minis to it, so it mixes the colours up a little bit. I meant to in terms of tracking yarn usage for this, I basically have been weighing it and seeing every time it goes over 100 grams, I'm classing that as a ball of yarn. So 100 grams is 1 ball of yarn used. This is definitely over 200 now, because I think when I weighed it last time it was 170 something grams, and I've nearly doubled it, so it might actually be over 300 now. I haven't weighed it yet since, so I will weigh it, and when I come to editing I'll pop it on the screen, but I think this might actually be over 3 balls of yarn used in this, which is really nice. It's certainly feeling heavy and weighty, and I'm really happy to be continuing with this. I'm just going to keep going until it's a length that I want, basically. So I'm very pleased with this. I did try and set myself a target this week of I'd said I wanted to do, I think it was 4 stripes a day, because I'd worked out in my head that if I did 4 stripes a day, I could get it to a length I was happy with before I went to Yarndale, so I called it finished before Yarndale. And within about 3 days, I stopped that. I was stressing myself out with it. I didn't really have the time to get it done in a day, 4 stripes, and I was stressing myself out about it enough that I just went, well, this is silly, what am I doing? Let's just stop this, and I'm just going to work on it when I want to. And I've probably still done about the same amount, but I've done it in a few blocks rather than 4 a day, and I'm really happy with how it's coming out. And say it's really nice just to have this to pick up and work on an evening, or in a morning, or whenever I feel like doing some crochet. So that is that one. Let's then move from that onto things that you haven't seen, and I'm going to start with crochet again. So this one is another, oh, I didn't mention I'm using a 3mm hook for that, 3mm hook and 4-ply yarn, 4-ply fingering weight, sock weight, mostly sock composition, so 25% nylon, 75% merino, but there are some in there that are 85-15 merino nylon, and others that are not merino because they're commercial, so they're just wool and nylon, but yeah, they're all that same kind of weight. Okay, another one that I'm going to show you that I picked up completely randomly. This is another using up some scrap yarns project. I have this big bag here. This bag is gorgeous. It's pepper. It's not actually pepper. This was a present from Leah, my friend Leah of the Ruby and Pearls podcast. She got me a birthday present of some yarn, which I showed in my plans video actually, because it's something I'm going to use to make the Lucy cardigan coming up. But she bought me this beautiful bag as well to go with it. It's not actually properly a project bag, I don't think, is it? Does it say on it? No, it just says it's a tote bag. But she said as soon as she saw it, she knew that it was something that I would like, and yes, it's gorgeous. And this is this is carrying my next Scrappy project, which I've started. So I don't know if you can see in there, probably not, loads and loads of, these are 20 gram minis. So the 10 grams I've kept for the granny stripe, and I've got loads of 10 grams in here. I've actually got 20, or I had 24, because I saw the other week on Instagram, I think one of my friends sent it to me, or I saw somebody share it, the Florentines blanket by Sandra of Cherry Heart, and oh my god, it's gorgeous. And I instantly was like, yeah, I need to buy it. I think it still had a release day discount on when it came out. And essentially this is a crochet blanket made up of lots of squares joined together. And I've started making some squares. These are quite hard to, now that's a bit better because it's less variegated. This one's also a good one to show you. That one's a really good one actually to show you. These beautiful, beautiful squares. These are DK weight, but they are designed to be made using a 24 skein, 20 gram advent. So you hold fingering weight yarn, you hold a 20 gram fingering weight mini double with itself to create a DK weight, and it uses up the vast majority of the 20 gram mini skein. And I just instantly, I went and looked through my stash because I knew I had a load of 20 gram minis. They're a bit big for my blanket because that would do way more than 2 stripes, so I'd have multiples of the same. And I thought, yeah, this would be a really good way to use them up. So I went through my stash, and I very definitely had 24 20 gram minis. The majority of them are from my Corner of Craft advent from last year, so I think most of these are from that. There's loads of these, I could keep going for ages. There was a couple of them that I'd already wound up and used in a project. The leftovers of those have gone into my granny stripe, so I didn't quite have all 24. So then I had some minis from Copper Kettle, which came with a sock set I got recently, and I've included those in it. That one as well, although we're going to talk about these. Let's keep those out because there's another one somewhere there. And that one is actually a Copper Kettle as well. So this is a Copper Kettle fibre cone. You can, well, I can tell because it's sparkly, because they're a sparkly base. And then I had a couple of others that I'd got from East Anglia that were gifted. So this one is a Felt Fusion mini that's going to go in it. This one was Chapel View Crafts, and I've got another one from Chapel View Crafts that's going to go in it. This is I think my favourite, just that colour. that is really true to life, that bright fire orangey red. I would love a garment in that colour. It's so stunning. And then, yeah, these 4 are all from the Corner of Craft Advent from last year. So 1, 2, 3, which looks like rhubarb and custard. I love it. And 4. So yeah, I've managed to make up 24, and then I've actually taken it back down to 21. The reason being, I looked at all of the colours of the minis and stuff that I've got, because obviously I need a colour to join all this together. And looking at all the colours, there are a lot that are sort of creamy based. My normal go-to would be a cream contrast, but there are a lot that wouldn't really work very well with that. And what I had in there were 3 that were grey, and the rest aren't at all. So I thought, well, if I take those 3 out, 2 of them are from Copper Kettle, 1 is from Corner Craft Chromatic Yarns. I thought if I take those 3 out and I get a green. I just looked at that square. If I get a grey contrast to join them all together, then that will work. So essentially what I'm going to do in the meantime, before I go to Yarndale, I want to try and make up all the rest of my squares if I can. I've generally been doing 2 or 3 a day. Oh no, okay, I've got 4 that are grey. Okay, so yeah, there's another one there. That's another grey. So I've got 4 that are grey that I'm going to take out. And the rest will all go with a grey base, grey background. I'm not going to be able to show all these, am I? But yeah, they all would go really well with a grey backing colour, contrast colour. So my aim is before Yarndale, which is at the back end of September. I think it's the 27th of September, to maybe finish up the rest of these. I've got another couple upstairs that are waiting to be wound up. And then when I go to Yarndale, pick up 4 more minis that would go with these colours. I'm not going to be really fussy about colours, but just not greys. And then I'll get myself a grey contrast colour and I can start joining them all together. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this. They're so satisfying to crochet, these squares. I'm genuinely thinking about making another one of these with one of my advents that's coming this year. And I'm using a 4mm hook for these, which is the size of hook that she recommends. And yeah, it takes me about 20 minutes max to do a square. Sometimes it takes the full 20 minutes if the yarns, because basically what I'm doing is I'm winding it and then I'm pulling it from both ends, the little balls, because it was just such a pain in the backside to try and keep weighing until I got to 10 grams. I've just been, pulling from both ends, and generally that works really well, but 1 or 2 cakes have been a nightmare and I've got myself really tangled as I'm pulling, so I've had to then untangle them. But I'd say on average 20 minutes max for a square, so it doesn't take me long to do at all. And then the other 2 that you've not seen before, I've not done any. My big mandala blanket is down there. I've not done any work on that the last couple of weeks. I've done a lot of focus on this, so that's fine. I've mentioned this one before, but I haven't shown you it before, and I now have. Shannon has now said that I can show you this. So this is a sample knit that I'm doing for Blue Fern Yarns of a pattern that she has designed herself that's going to be coming out, I think, next month, September. And I've been really, really enjoying this. So this is the Mixed Media Shawl, and it's beautiful. The reason it's called the Mixed Media Shawl is because this first bit is crochet and then you go into some knitting, which I enjoyed so much. So much. So this is a really fun pattern. So this is using 3 of Shannon's colours. This one is called Rusty Old Boat on her plain base. This one is called Copper on her yak base. And I can't actually remember what this red's called, which I'm very annoyed at because it is so gorgeous. So gorgeous. I'll have to ask Shannon and find out what it is and then pop it on screen for you. This was a little mini that she sent, and I'm pretty certain this was on her yak base as well. I've really enjoyed this so much. The crochet section was really simple, really well written, and it makes the rows grow really quickly because it's crochet. I mean, you can see how that yarn's working up there as well. It's absolutely gorgeous. And then I really love how when you switch from crochet to knitting, first off, it was really easy to pick up these stitches. And can you see there, it creates a really, really neat edge. It almost creates like, it looks like a Latvian braid. Really, really nice. And then you go into garter with some increases, and then you've got these little eyelet sections in the pop of colour. So well written, so fun. I wish I knew more people who would wear shawls, and I wish I was somebody who would wear a shawl, because I, again, like the chicken, I've enjoyed making this so much. I want to do it again, but I just have no use for a shawl really in my wardrobe. Let me see if I can. mean, it does look good, doesn't it? It does look... I just don't use them. But it's so fun to knit and crochet. So I can very highly recommend this when it comes out. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Really satisfying to knit on. Garter stitch has been so easy to work on in meetings and things. And I'm hoping to have this done in the next couple of weeks. So early September this will be finished. I'm using 3.5mm needles, and I think I used a 3.5mm hook. Yeah, I'm pretty certain I did. And the gauge is perfect. It's absolutely bang on. And I just look how crisp that line looks where you join. It's so good. Oh, it's so crispy. I love it. Absolutely love it. And yeah, really satisfying to knit and crochet. So this one's going to be coming soon. Once I finish this, I intend to back up my sample shawl that I'm making for Wild Pearl yarns. Because yeah, just love that. I just needed a bit of a break from it. I was stressing myself out about it so much that I needed a break from it. And this is in my lovely little bag from the Copper Kettle, fibre and floss. This was gifted to me, but you can still get these, I believe, on a website, and this is so well made. It's absolutely gorgeous. There is a discount code down in the description box for Copper Kettle. That isn't an affiliate code, but it gets you 10% off down below. So yeah, if you want to check out her bags, her yarn, anything, I can very highly recommend, and you get a discount down there. Okay, and then the last thing is a new cast on that I didn't mention on my podcast, on my plans, and is a bit of a rogue one, but I'm loving it. This is a test knit. I know I said I wasn't going to do them anymore. This is the last test knit I'm signing up for ages. So I've got this one, I've got the Lucy, and I've got the Edale, both of which I mentioned in my knitting plans video, which if you haven't watched, I will pop a link in the description to go back and watch that, because yeah, I had so much fun filming that. And this is the only addition to that I hadn't mentioned in there. This is a very weird strip of fabric, which is going to become the White Days cardigan by Maya Deglon of Maya Tinks. So this is a drop shoulder cardigan. I'll pop it on here so you can sort of see. Get my hair out the way. No, I've just pulled that way too far forwards. There we go. This is a drop shoulder cardigan. I'll pop a picture up so you can actually see a bit better how it's going to fit. And actually, let me just... hair's sort of out of the way there. This is a really lovely drop shoulder cardigan that has this sort of tuck detail at the sleeves. I'll pop a picture of Maya's on screen so you can actually see what I'm talking about. And I just really wanted to make this. I ummed and ahed about applying for the test a lot, and I really wanted to consider before I applied for anything, could I actually commit to making this? And the answer was yes. So I decided to go ahead, and I was very kindly accepted onto the test. So yeah, essentially you start making these, you start in, it's hard to show because of where it's at. You start in the middle of the back and you do your one saddle, you do the other saddle, and then essentially where I'm at is you come and pick up along that line and you start working your back panel. I'm making a size bigger than I would normally make in Maya's patterns, so I'm making size 6 out. I'm making size 6. And I think I normally make size 5, but this I think would hugely suit being oversized. So I've made 2 of Maya's patterns before. I made the Olympic cami, which I talked about in my last podcast episode as a finished object, and I love that. And that in size 5 is a perfect fit for me. I also made the road trip shacket earlier in the year, I think I believe in a size 5, and that is a little bit small for me, mainly because it's supposed to be oversized, and the way that I've got it, and that's my own fault for choosing that size because I wanted it to have a little bit less positive ease, doesn't fit me quite how I think it's intended, and it's a bit tighter than I wanted it to be, and again, that's my choice, not the pattern. But this one, I wanted to really lean into that oversizedness. So yeah, this is how it's turning out, and I love this. So I think she calls it a worsted weight gauge in the pattern, but actually I'm using Aran and getting gauge bang on the money. I'm using 5mm needles and this beautiful yarn, which is really budget friendly. So this is what I'm using. This is Wendy with wool Aran, which is a weird way. My head wants to say Aran with wool. This comes in massive 400 gram balls for about 10, 11, 12 pounds, something like that. So it's really not very expensive. And in that 400 gram ball, you get 800 meters of yarn. I've got 2 of these. I'm going to break into the second one, but I'm probably not going to use huge amounts of it. This is the shade Pine, and it is a 75% acrylic, 25% wool blend. It's actually really nice for one of those blends. This is this has been so fun to work with. I wish you could feel it. It feels a bit more like it's got more wool content in than it actually has, and the colour is really, really good on me. And yeah, 5mm needles. This is flying, and it's got a really long deadline on it, so I'm confident that this is going to get done well in time. I'm going to include the tuck detail because I really like the tuck detail, and this is where we come on to the yarn shop that I visited and the stuff that I've got from it, because I got some stuff from that. In fact, I'm not going to put that there because it's right next to the mic. I'll put it over here. I got some stuff from there to go with the contrast, or to create the contrast for that tuck. So we visited Bugweeds, it was called, in York, on Clifton Moor retail park in York. I'd never heard of it before. Somebody recommended it on Reddit, on a Reddit post I'd seen, and we went, and oh my god, it's incredible. I'll pop in some footage if I can, because it was so good. My husband took some of me, and then I took some of the actual yarn shop as well. It's yarn and fabrics and all sorts of crafts. They've got loads of fabrics, so if you're a sewist, I highly recommend going to check it out. I'm pretty certain they certainly used to be, when I used to live in York, there used to be buses to Clifton Moor, so if you don't drive, you can still get there, although it's not super accessible. But the staff were lovely, the prices were really good, and they had a fantastic selection of yarn as well as the fabrics. I could have spent an absolute fortune in there, but I'll show you what I did get. So first off, I got a ball of Stylecraft Special Aran, just plain cheap budget acrylic in the shade cream, and I wanted this to be the contrast for this because I wanted a cream shade for the tuck detail. I really like the version that Maya's done in cream with the black, but I didn't want to buy yarn for the majority of the cardigan, so I wanted to use what I had in stash, but I thought the cream would go really nicely with the green to make a nice little contrast there. So that was that, and I think this was like £2 something for a ball of yarn, which is fine. That's what I wanted. I wanted really budget friendly. And then I got a pattern and some yarn. So I got 7 balls of this, which I've never used before. This is King Cole Fjord DK Fair Isle Effect self patterning yarn. You can see there it's self-striping, and you can actually see on the back that's the pattern it's supposed to make. This is a DK weight, as the name might suggest. It's 100% anti-pilling acrylic, 250 meters per 100 grams. This is in shade 4922, which is Halsa, Halsa, and I got 7 balls of this. The reason I got 7 balls of this was because of this. They had a sample of this in Bugweeds. I don't know if I took footage. I might have taken footage. If I have, you'll have seen it. If not, you won't have done, obviously, but this is what it looks like. And these are actually the same colours. And my husband saw it and said, I'd like that cardigan. This is, I mean, it's on a women's form, but I looked at the sizing. The sizing goes up to a size that would fit him, and it's a raglan cardigan. There is nothing to say it can't be knit for a man. So I bought the yarn to be able to make him this one. I said in my video last week, the plans video, that I was going to make him that cardigan, and I also wanted to maybe make him something else so that he had another cardigan to be able to wear, because he does really like wearing knitwear, and something that would fit him nicely that he can just chuck on, that was maybe a bit more simple for me to knit would be nice. So yeah, I bought the pattern, and it's got a short sleeve version on the back as well. But I bought the pattern. He likes the long one, and I bought enough yarn to make the 40 size. Let's have a look, where are the sizes to fit bust. So I bought enough yarn to make the size 40 to 42 inch bust, which again is, I think he's got a 38 inch bust, but the next size down was 36 to 38 inches for the bust. And I think he would prefer a little bit more positive ease. So I'm going to make him the next one up. It suggests 3.25 and 4mm needles. And it says that for a long cardigan for that size, you need 7 balls of Halsa. So that's what I've got. I should have known from looking at it, it is not as simple as you might think for a raglan cardigan, and it's not top down, it's bottom up, it's in panels, and it's seamed, and I think that's to give this effect with these bits. And I thought yesterday when I was reading through the pattern, part of me was like, oh, I could cast it on top down and work top down. I could definitely work that out. And then I thought, yeah, but you won't get the same effect. You won't get this like up there. The raglan stops because it's knit in panels, you've got this grey bit there, and then you've got this really clean line with the raglan. So I'm going to knit it how it suggests in the pattern, and I think it will be actually really fun. It's the same sort of construction as I did his sweater last year, the cabled one from West Yorkshire Spinners that I did. And yeah, actually it was quite satisfying. It's quite nice to have some flat knitting. So that's going to be a relatively soon, cast on relatively soon, probably once I've finished that pheasant hunt, because if I pick this up first, because this is a simpler stockinette pattern, I'm going to end up working on this first. And I'll put that pheasant hunt off. So I need to do that first. And then once I finish that, I'm going to come and do this. So yeah, I made an acquisition. This wasn't super expensive. It was like £5 something a ball, and it was there £35 for 7 balls. And it does feel like, it feels like acrylic, but it doesn't feel like squeaky acrylic. It feels very smooth and almost silky, and the finished garment had a really lovely feel to it. I very definitely want to go back to Bugweeds. It was gorgeous in there. I could have spent a fortune. They had West Yorkshire spinners, they had Barham U, they had all sorts of King Cole style craft, loads of different things of that. And there was another one that I can't remember the name of that they had in there that's quite a common budget friendly yarn. I could have gone mad. They had notions, they had patterns, they had some really cute little stitch markers, which I've put in. I think we got some footage of from a company called Regular Goose, which I'd never heard of. They were gorgeous. They were really cute. And yeah, the fabrics, honestly, I do have a sewing machine. I'm very much a beginner sewer, but I'd like to get more into it. And one of the things that's always sort of held me back a little bit, is that I can't get really, really nice fabrics without spending a fortune online and having to order online. But that would 100% be somewhere I'd go back to, and I could spend hours looking at the shop, at the fabrics. So yeah, this will be coming quite soon. So yeah, that is, oh gosh, sneeze attack. So that's everything I wanted to show you today, guys. I feel like it's been a bit of a whistle-stop tour. The next time I film will be probably just into September, won't it? So I'm hoping by that time I will have finished this blue fern shawl, I will have finished the chicken, and I've progressed further on the pheasant hunt. I want to keep going on that, like I say. That was in my plans video for autumn, and I want to finish it in the next season. But I'm not, pushing myself to finish it instantly. I just want to keep going on it. I need to keep that momentum on it because it's intimidating. Yeah, so I'm hoping to have a few of these things either progressed or finished off so that I can then start casting on the things from my autumn knitting plans video. Thank you all so much as well for the reception of that. That has been an incredibly successful video for me. And I don't know if it's just because people like autumn plans videos, or if it's because I was so excited and enthusiastic to film that video, and I know that's probably come across in the actual sort of filming of it. So I'm hoping that you guys have had as much fun watching it as I did filming it, and I'm so excited to get started on those. The next thing's probably going to be the next version of this, because this is so good. And then all the other things that I want to work on, the Edale, the Lucy I'm going to get cast on relatively soon, the key sweater I'm so excited to do. There is so much fun stuff there, and I can't wait to get started with it, and I can't wait for you guys to come along for the ride. I will be back next week with another video. I haven't quite decided what that's going to be. If you're new here, by the way, thank you for being here, because I have had a bit of an influx from that last video. Thank you so much for being here and deciding to come and join me and stay. I film every week as much as I can. There are some weeks when I can't, but generally there'll be a video up every week. Every other week I do a traditional format podcast like this, and in the alternating weeks in between I do a different sort of video, whether that be a pattern roundup. I'm going to start doing some project vlogs as well, as I knit through some of these, like the key sweater and stuff. We're going to do a project vlog of that. And yeah, other videos that go in there talking about other things around knitting. So yeah, if you enjoy, please feel free to like and subscribe. It really does, it makes a difference, and it really just makes me smile as well to see that you guys like it and that you want to stay here. Let me know in the comments down below what you've been working on whilst you're knitting, whilst you're watching, whether that's knitting, crochet or something else. Let me know what you've been working on, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. Have a nice afternoon, evening, weekend, whatever it is, wherever it is, wherever you are, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.